Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight's on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we're going to go back over to Berlin, talk about the Bash in Berlin. We're going to talk No Mercy. We're going to talk about SmackDown before that. We're going to talk about AEW. The roof is on fire. Swerve's childhood house gets burned down. We're going to talk about that. We're going to sprinkle in some Collision, 3-beer watching Collision in the bar. We're going to see how that went out. And we have our all-out predictions this week on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel live. Hello, Marks. Welcome to another edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast. I am your special guest host, JCB, Jason Cornelius Bell. Out there in Portland, Oregon, we have 1/3 of the triumphant this evening. My man, my ace Boone Coon. That man, he knows his name is 3-Beer Zach Pullman. Tell me something good, 3-Beer.
If you're thinking about stopping smoking weed, don't, because the dreams are unreal.
What the fuck?
Last night, I had a dream that I was Nicole Kidman and some person wearing my brother-in-law's face as a flesh mask was pulling the covers off of me as I was trying to sleep. My wife woke me up because I was screaming in bed. So,
okay.
Yeah, just keep smoking weed, and you won't be Nicole Kidman.
And out there in St. Charles, Missouri, no Bill Vagey, but we brought my man Vice back. Vice, my man, my ace, what's good?
Man, I don't know what to say. I'm sitting here thinking about 3-Beer looking like Nicole Kidman, and fucking I got 2 words for you. I would.
Obviously, no Bill Vagey this week. He is at a concert. I can't remember the name of the concert off the top of my head.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and I'm very, very jealous because they're sold out here in Portland, Oregon next week, and they're a fucking awesome band.
Okay, see, I would have never came up with that, so I'm glad that you remembered the name of the band because, like I said, I knew King Lizard, but I just didn't know the exact whole name of the band. But obviously, no Bill this week. He did send his predictions, unfortunately, because I was hoping he wasn't going to do that because I was like, oh, that's like 8-9 free points for your boy. But if you're a regular listener to BFR, he kind of gives points away anyway. So ultimately, it doesn't even matter. We'll see Bill next week for the all-out review, but neither here nor there. Let's do things the way I like to normally do it. So let me do my part of BFR. Whoa, here's these beefers again, these grown-ass ignorant men with hair triggers again. And on that lovely note, I ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 376, chapter 3, verse 14 of the Good Smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR. Enough of the foreplay. Let's get down to the business at hand. Let's get to that 1 count. All right, so the 1 count, obviously, we're going to talk about Bash in Berlin. We're going to go back on Saturday afternoon. 3-Beer, where did you watch Bash in Berlin?
I watched it from my bed. I woke up. I didn't even move. I grabbed my remote. I clicked the TV on because I'm on the best coast over here, so things happen very early for me. The pre-show started at 8 a.m. I turned on the pre-show, and I didn't leave my bed for hours. I had woke up in the middle of the night, do one of those middle of the night pisses, so I didn't even have to piss whenever I woke up. I didn't get out of bed until the women's match, and I missed that because I went and got something to eat. I probably didn't miss much. Anyway,
see, you ain't supposed to.
I don't want to bury the lead there.
You ain't supposed to get that shit away, man. Come on now, Vice. Did you even? Did you even watch this at all?
No, I was a little busy this weekend.
No.
I was a little busy with work and had a couple of things up in the air, so I did not get a chance to watch it. I'm basically just here tonight to make jokes at Bill's expense.
Let's start with the curtain jerker, which was a bit of a surprise, but not really if you kind of stop and think about it. Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. Obviously, Cody Rhodes, the defending champion. We all obviously picked Cody Rhodes, but the one, I guess, the lead into this from the SmackDown episode the night before was the one-on-one in the ring where KO felt like he could have turned heel, but didn't really turn heel in that promo or in the match itself. To me, that was the one thing I was really waiting for to see if he would flip. He did go after the knee that he did make reference to on the SmackDown promo the night before, but ultimately never really turned heel. Not saying that for me, it changed the way that I looked at the match, because I think the knee injury in the match itself kind of gave the little opening of, okay, this could be a glimmer of hope for KO. We all know it wasn't, but maybe for him to flip heel, maybe for this to get more interesting, and it never really happened. This was a pretty good curtain jerker. We knew who was going to win. Ultimately, the question was Kevin Owens going to flip? And obviously, he did not flip. They shake hands afterwards. Everybody walks away happy. I was a little disappointed for Kevin Owens not to flip just to make things interesting, but I guess I'd rather him not flip heel just for the sake of him flipping heel, if that makes sense. 3Beer, go ahead.
Yeah, it makes sense to me because, I mean, we all, thought it was going to happen, and we had reasons why it should, but, it really kicked off the vibe of the show, which to me, this entire show was like a really good house show. And you wouldn't have a big heel turn on a house show. You would just have the babyface versus babyface. You'd have the babyface hug it out. I love the conflicted story with Cody not disclosing that his knee was fucked up. KO not being able to capitalize on that weakness, and also other points in the match with him not being able to take that next step. Even if it wasn't a heel turn, just to be a pragmatic babyface and do whatever would within the confines of the match to win the match. He was really playing it up, and this was really good storytelling, really fun. But yeah, I don't think anybody was putting money on Kevin Owens going over in this match, which the crowd was, thankfully, with it being in Berlin, they were very into both guys, and they even bought some of the near falls, but I feel like they were being a little generous, but it's good. You want them to be generous. No,
as much as I thought that the finish was predictable, I agree totally. This was another great crowd. Not Leon, France. I think that's the bar for international crowds so far. Don't get me wrong. Puerto Rico was amazing for Backlash, but France, just for me, is the one that really is the pinnacle of international crowds so far. So don't get me wrong, Berlin was great. They got into it, made this match probably a little more interesting than it should have been, because the finish was predictable. But nonetheless, Cody goes over, no interference from Bloodline, which was a little bit of surprise. KO doesn't flip heel, which was a little bit of surprise. So maybe some meat left on the table. Maybe they come back to this. I don't know, but I'll be interested to see where KO goes from here, especially with rumors of his contract coming up, and I can't see KO leaving. He has it way too good in WWE. I'll just assume that he would eventually re-sign with them at a later point down the line, but time will tell. Hopefully KO does re-sign.
You know what I will say, though, he does get a bag, because with the money that like Swerve just got, and Garcia, like, KO is that guy. And I mean, they've given him so much, and he's had a great career. And I mean, dude, like, just wrestling Stone Cold Steve Austin, like, but that motherfucker doesn't owe that company anything. If he can use the leverage of like being super tight with the Young Bucks to get himself up to that, like, multi-million-dollar deal per year, he fucking deserves it, man. That company already underpays their top talent. And man, like, KO finishing out his career with his best friend Sami Zayn, making $3 million a year. Like, I just hope the best for him.
I never thought about
Let me ask.
Go ahead, Vice.
Let me ask you guys this: Do you think he wants to do that? Do you think he wants to switch to another place, or is he like, I'm good here?
I think he's probably good there, but I think, I don't know KO, like, he's got friends in both companies. Also, he's done literally everything you can do in WWE. He's main evented WrestleMania. He's wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's won all the titles. Like, there's really nothing more that he can do except, ride it out and be, in that main event picture. He could be a guy, but, what does he want to do? Does he want to take a different kind of schedule? It's just, this is the kind of thing where if you're somebody that thinks either one of these companies should fail, like, absolutely not. Like, you're what's wrong with the business, because, dude, like, having healthy number one and a healthy number two is the best for these guys to get what they deserve, which is buku money.
I never thought about the KO Bucks connection until you guys just brought it up. And with
KO was a fucking PWG guy, for that caliber, and like all of his friends are there.
And that makes things way more interesting. If gun to head, you made me decide right now, I say he stays. But if Tony backs up the brink truck, it could happen. But something tells me that loyalty means something to KO. WWE, granted, has underpaid him, but on the flip side, has put him in spots that other places haven't. So I think he stays. But
Cody also hinted at it, like in that promo on Friday. He hinted at it, and he's like, when it comes to this revolution, because Kevin Owens is the one who introduced Cody Rhodes to the Young Bucks. Like, Cody left WWE to strike out on his own. He didn't know Nick and Matt Jackson. Like, he introduced him to the Young Bucks, and the rest is history. And Cody said in his promo on Friday, and he's like, when it comes to this revolution that we're experiencing in pro wrestling, and he was not like kayfabing at all. He's like, Kevin Owens gets too little credit, and perhaps I get too much. I thought that was a really bro fucking thing to say on national TV.
No, it makes all the sense in the world, especially if you know the full story, the full history. Before Cody Rhodes was even thought about, there was Kevin Owens and the Bucks. So it could easily have been Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes' spot if things would have played differently, but obviously they didn't, and now we're at where we're at. So I'll be curious, like I said, curious to see what happens to Kevin Owens. I hope he stays, but if he goes to AEW, that's a whole nother bag of worms to uncork itself, and I'll be curious to see about that as well. Next up, you had for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I had mentioned this last week that I was kind of over the unholy alliance, whatever the hell they're calling themselves. They just, for me, it was more on the lines of, here's the title win because we're over in Europe, and it makes sense there. But unfortunately for Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, they never followed up with it. What little they did was not necessarily anything that got them over. If I'm not mistaken, they lost right away after becoming the champs too. That was a straight up Vince move. So in this scenario, not a lot of momentum for the champs coming in. And for me, like I said last week, Bianca and Jade felt like more of the team that had a story behind them, especially if they were tag team champs. This wasn't really a great watch, probably, unfortunately, the low point of the night, not necessarily on the talent. I just think the build for this hasn't been the best of the bunch, but women's tag team across the board in WWE hasn't been booked very well, whether it's been Vince or Triple H. Obviously, Jade and Bianca win the titles back. No surprise for me. I'm totally good with this. To me, there's more legs with, like I said, Bianca and Jade having the championships for a while, seeing them, drop them again, eventually break up and have them face off against each other versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn trying to elevate titles that just seemingly can't be elevated. 3 Beer, what you got?
Yeah, that's just a testament to how long the pre-show was, because I felt like I had been watching wrestling forever at that point when I got up to make some food. So I missed this whole match. I was making the new knife cut squiggly noodles from Trader Joe's, the garlic and sesame. They're very good. Little poached egg, little scallion, little chili oil, real good. Anyway, I came back to my bedroom and Jade was holding up the title. So, yeah, I feel like I didn't miss anything though. I got the gist.
Unfortunately, you're probably right on this. Vice, anything on this one?
Yeah, how come they can't pull her ponytail anymore? How come they count them out for doing that?
Oh, they pulled her ponytail at least a couple of times in this match, if I'm not mistaken. At least once for sure. Probably a second time.
Yeah, but the refs counting the whole time. I didn't know that pulling hair was illegal.
Oh yeah, for sure. You can already say it's the old school. You know, he's pulling my hair, ref, and as the ref turns around, he punches him in the face. You know,
it's whack. Should be like football where you can pull them down with their hair.
Nigga, no argument here. I'm just.
Is that true?
Yeah, you can pull down by dreadlocks.
That's wild.
Yeah, I was going to say, who is it for the Steelers? That
sounds like a neck injury just waiting to fucking happen.
I think
they made a rule change for it.
Yeah, D'Angelo Williams for the Steelers got necktied, or not necktied, but hog collar or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Steven Jackson, same way.
As an anti-racist, this sounds like a very sketchy rule.
There we go.
I mean, for real, like how many fucking ponytailed wide receivers, like white guys, are in the fucking NFL? It seems like a fucking very specific rule again, you know.
You said it. I was thinking it.
Next up,
should have been.
Yeah, right.
Should have been the other way. Should have been the other way around.
Hey, sometimes it's best left unsaid, at least especially coming from my black ass. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk in a strap match. I was thinking about this strap match as they were coming out to the ring, and as much as Bill says that, you know, he loves certain gimmick matches and don't love other gimmick matches, which makes absolutely no sense. This strap match, if there's a strap match, the way this is set up, this is my least favorite strap match. I don't want to see people getting drug around the ring and tapping the four corners. That's just boring to me. Just beat the shit out of each other and pin somebody and let's move along. But unfortunately, the former rules were in place, so obviously at some point you have to have your opponent incapacitated enough to tap all four corners in consecutive motion. If for whatever reason momentum stops, then the count starts over and you have to go back to square one. So ultimately, that is kind of the gist of the match, where you have both CM Punk and Drew McIntyre getting opportunities to get all four corners tapped off, stopped at various points. Ultimately, I thought this was a pretty good match, even though I didn't like the stip, and I don't like strap matches like this stip. I thought still, for my investment, Drew and Punk still drew me in enough, even though I kind of knew Punk was going to win. For me, it was like, okay, how is he going to win? You know, how is he going to pull this shit off? Multiple GTSs, shit, works for me, because that's the one of the few ways that I could think of that was Punk at his size versus Drew at his size. That's one of the few ways I can think of that Punk can legitimately win this kind of a match, where you're basically stuck to Drew McIntyre. Now you got to drag his heavy carcass around. I thought it was well done. It leads to obviously a tiebreaker at some point, probably a bad blood. Neither here nor there. Was rooting for Drew, but CM Punk obviously wins the match. 3-Beer, what you got?
Yeah, not my favorite gimmick, but I thought it was pretty clever how they did it. You know, a lot of the strap matches I saw when I was a kid, they harkened back to the spot where like CM Punk was on Drew's back and he was tagging the post or the turnbuckle after Drew was. As the heel's carrying the babyface around the ring, he doesn't realize that the babyface is tapping the turnbuckle or the post, like,
I thought
after him.
I thought that's the way they were going to end it. I was like, son of a bitch, don't do this.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the finish that I saw like my whole childhood. Like, that was the finish, and like the babyface ekes it out. But they didn't do that. They actually had the babyface go over super strong which, they put Punk over huge here. And I mean, you could say they made Drew look strong in the sense that he had to eat a finisher in between every turnbuckle. So you'd be like, oh, this is what it took to keep him out. But man, like, this finish definitely did not scream, we're going to keep this feud going. And then the very next Monday, we're keeping this feud going. So the finish very much seemed like we were done.
I didn't think that they were going to be done, but even with, Punk hitting multiple finishes, I just was like, okay, when Punk came out on Monday night and he started talking about moving on and Gunther, and I was sitting there watching it and I'm shaking my head. I'm like, nah, man, this ain't gonna be the way you get out of this. Then when Drew comes from underneath the ring, I'm like, okay, here we go. Tearing up the bracelet, perfect. I was like, okay, there's no way on God's green earth they're getting away from this. That's what I was saying. To me, Bad Blood feels like a good place to blow off the feud. I'm not sure what the stip is going to be at this point, because it just can't be, at least in my mind, it can't be a normal match at this point. We already done
Hell in a Cell. It's got to be.
Fine. That's what I say. I have no problem with that. As long as all the matches aren't Hell in a Cell, it feels like this is the gradual build up for this feud. So if you're going to blow it off, perfect place to blow it off. We're going to talk about another Cell match here in a little bit.
And then Drew McIntyre's long dead brother is going to show up, and it's just an extremely sunburnt Sheamus.
Jesus Christ. Next up, you
rip the door off the cage.
What the fuck? Have we seen this before? Let's say, man, this looks awfully familiar. Next up, you had Liv and Dom versus Rhea and Damian Priest. Mixed tag rules, so men wrestle men, women wrestle women. Obviously, at one point, you had Dom catching the work from Rhea Ripley, getting one of the biggest pops of the night. If you look at the decibel meter, this was just basically a nice little fun match. Nothing really to sink your teeth into. The baby faces win. Rhea gets hands on Dom for a little bit. Rhea pins Liv Morgan, which to me is the ultimate finish to set up a later title match between the two women, or whatever the case may be. Like I said, it wasn't the best match, but to me, this was a really fun match to watch Berlin just lose their shit over arguably the heel of the year in 2024, Dom Mysterio. Three Beer thoughts on the mixed tag?
Oh yeah, super fun. This was a house show match through and through, but as a house show match with a reason. And we had Rhea pinning Liv, and she's going to get that title match, or she should. A lot of fun. I don't have anything bad to say about this. Very enjoyable.
Obviously, on Monday night, you had Rhea getting attacked by Liv and Dom. That storyline ran throughout the show, ending in a tag match where the once, and I'm assuming currently, smitten kitten Jey Uso tagged with Damian Priest to challenge the Judgment Day team of Finn Balor and JD McDonough. The baby faces go over. A little bit of surprise, but not really. Jey Uso obviously being kept strong because he's chasing the IC title. Damian Priest gets a bit of a receipt back on his former mates. We'll see what happens with the tag team portion of it, but for Berlin, the former Judgment Day members win this match, obviously setting up more down the line. Then obviously in the main event, you had Randy Orton versus Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. On Friday night, LA Knight had an open challenge versus Ludwig Kaiser, and obviously LA Knight retained, but LA Knight was starting to get booed about halfway through the match towards the end, and I was thinking to myself, oh man, this, and even the commentators had mentioned that fact that Randy might catch the same treatment, and that just wasn't the case. I like the fact that Berlin at least showed respect for Randy enough to where his past accomplishments and the match I thought that he was having against Gunther was giving them the respect that he so richly deserves. I thought this was a really good match. I don't know what the fuck Bill was talking about, saying that this is the worst Gunther match. And if this is the worst Gunther match, that says a lot because there's a bunch of really good ones. Dare I say, great ones. I don't even think it's the worst Gunther match. I thought this was a plotting match. It showed Gunther being vulnerable, which we rarely ever see. So that was, nice to see from time to time. Randy couldn't take advantage of that vulnerability, but it gave pause for the cause that maybe in a weird twist of worlds that Randy Orton could win it. Obviously, he doesn't win it. Randy going to sleep, I thought, was a nice little tip of the cap for Gunther, feather in the hat, whatever you want to call it. It's a strong way to put Gunther over because I don't remember the last time anybody put Randy Orton to sleep. People pin Randy Orton. That's one thing. Making him submit, putting him night with the pacifier in his mouth, that's something entirely different. So for me, that to me was a nice way to make a predictable match feel like it had some meaning. Vice, you said, Did you see the match, or did you just chime it in because you just think I'm right?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
No, put him to sleep was huge. I thought it was big time because I don't remember ever seeing Randy Orton get put to sleep. I know somebody that watches more wrestling than I do probably can tell me, but
last dude to put Randy Orton to sleep is Jack Daniels.
It was at Grappa Grill in 2002.
Oh man,
I was there.
Oh no, y'all niggas ain't shit. I swear to God, that's great. You said Jack Daniels, well played. What'd you think about Gunther and Orton shaking hands post match at 3 Beer?
It was cool. Same thing with Cody and KO. Just they ended up, it's babyface at the end of the day. It's funny because this match was plotting. It was longer than it felt. I got up, so I was watching it. Somebody knocked on the door. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law. They had their dog. Kids we're talking. They're petting the dog. It's all like hanging out, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just watching this wrestling show." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "I'm gonna have to go back and rewind because this show is gonna be over." It's like it's fine. I was like, "I'll just rewind." I go back in, fucking thing's still on. So I did rewind, but it was a long match. But yeah, I thought it was good. It was just methodical, and it was what I expected. Really, I mean, it was not the Randy Orton Edge matches, which were fucking excruciatingly plotting. Like this was different. This was long, but it didn't feel long. It was just methodical. I enjoyed it.
No, I thought it was really good too. I thought this was a good use of Orton putting over Gunther. Not like he needs much help, but having Randy Orton on his hit list doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt Orton.
It's a big deal.
No, it is a huge deal, and it doesn't hurt Orton ultimately in the long run. He's pretty much Teflon at this point. His chase for 15 and 16, I think, are bigger than a loss to Gunther in Berlin, but that's just me. Let's go over to Raw on Monday night.
Real quick.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to spend a bunch of time. Real quick, I don't want to spend a bunch of time on it, but it's very funny. What's the possibility that we see versus Orton for a title this year? Or 2025, I mean.
Say that again now.
2025, what's the possibility that we see Cena versus Orton for a title?
I would say it's a coin flip.
Who has the title?
Cena.
Yep.
I cannot see any way in 2025 he does not have one of the, at least, I'll go this far. If he has the title, it's the title that is on Raw right now, the World Heavyweight Championship. I think Cody's going to still hold this Joker for a little bit, even in, for a calendar year plus. So for me,
I can see him trading it. Because that's Cena versus Cody's a bigger match than whoever. I could actually see them trading off. But I think we're going to see it. I'd give it a little more than even money. I'd say 60-40. Because I mean, who do you want Who do you want as your fucking face of your company that's had the most titles in history? You want fucking helicopter dick Rick, or you want Make-A-Wish King John Cena? You know, like in 2024, like it's a no-brainer.
You hate
Helicopter
shit.
dick.
Hey man, hey, as the Ric Flair fan of this pod, I ain't gonna take too much more of that disrespect. You're gonna help me with the sale. He's saying words I don't understand.
Using big words that I don't understand. I'm gonna take that as disrespect.
Help me with the sale. Oh man, that is all kinds of crazy. Let's talk about Raw really quick. We talked about the opener on Raw. American Made beats Alpha Academy. Shayna Baszler beats Zelina Vega loses to Shayna Baszler. Vignettes across the board. Ilya Dragunov wins the third spot in the Intercontinental Championship tournament, or Fatal 4-Way, better choice of words, defeating Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio. I thought this was a really solid match. Damage Control loses to the former tag team champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. They'll be getting a rematch here down the line. Oh, joy. And then obviously we talked about Braun Strowman makes his return. Wasn't a huge fan of this. I'm going to stop right here because I think this is a good time to stop, because when I saw this, it kind of pissed me off. So obviously last week, Braun Strowman was crushed by Bronson Reed getting a tsunami off of a cliff, I guess, for lack of a better term, onto a car. All kinds of havoc breaks out. Zach is making fun of Adam Pearce, talking about, Braun Strowman can't feel his fingers, the whole 9 yards. So all kinds of chaos happens the week before. So this week, we see Braun Strowman on screen talking about, I can wrestle. Obviously, if you didn't hear, Bronson Reed apparently, unfortunately, caught COVID, and he had to be written off for a week, hopefully not too much longer. Hopefully he'll be back next week. That's why you didn't see Bronson Reed on Monday night, but you saw Braun Strowman in his spot. So my biggest problem with this is not a good look for Bronson Reed. He's dropped Miz a few weeks ago. Haven't seen Miz. Haven't seen R-Truth, haven't seen Seth Rollins, but now all of a sudden Braun Strowman is just bouncing back up the week before and he wins the match? I don't know, man. Call me crazy. Not a huge fan of it.
Crazy.
If Bronson Reed comes back and costs Braun Strowman down the line, okay, fair enough. But for me, this is one of the few missteps on Triple H's part and creative. 3-Beer, am I tripping?
No, but I kind of gave them a pass on keeping Braun Strowman strong because they treat him like such a monster that the new monster shouldn't squash him so easily. But I did think it was ridiculous. Like, as an authority figure, Adam Pearce is like, okay, I just saw you get killed last week, but you look me in the eye and tell me you're good. And I'm like, what kind of medical team we have going on here? Like, where do I report a fucking HIPAA violation? Just look me in the eye.
Oh, shit. You good, right? As he's wobbling around.
Yeah. He fucking fully takes up.
I'm good, Grandma. I'm good.
I say it's Mortal Kombat, finish him. Braun's like, no, I'm straight, boss. I can go in. Nah, I just thought that was just a horrible way to use Braun Strowman when you have a bunch of guys in catering that would kill to get that spot, even if it was to take the L. One of the segments I did like on the flip side of it was Braun Breaker versus Jey Uso in a nice little promo battle face to face this time around. So obviously next week we'll have a fatal 4-way for the right to face Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Pete Dunne, Ilya Dragunov, and Braun Strowman. The winner gets Braun Breaker. We've seen Jey Uso cross paths with him at least a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Is Jey Uso a slam dunk to win this fatal 4-way? We'll start with Vice. We'll go to 3-Beer afterwards. Vice, does Jey Uso win?
Yes. I think he does.
3 beer?
It seems like Jay to me.
Any chance that anybody else wins? Ilya Dragunov?
If anybody, it's Pete Dunne.
Okay.
To be who?
Pete Dunne.
Oh, I just said Pete Dunne because he's been getting quite a push, but Dragunov would be fun because, man, like, they've had good matches, and maybe they want to replay that for the larger audience. Actually, I think that's maybe a sleeper call because Jay feels like something maybe they could build to a bigger show with.
That's what I was
Dragunov could be. Yeah, I kind of like that.
They can start showing him off and showing exactly what he can do.
Yeah, I think Dragunov would almost benefit more than Jay Uso. A part of me doesn't want Jay to go right after Braun Breaker because it feels, I know he'll lose. It just feels like he'll lose momentum. If you want to keep Jay Uso strong for the long term, I think you should hold off on the Braun Breaker crossing the pass just yet. It's going to happen. The build, but I rather already feel like it's getting big because of their verbal promos or whatever. But for me, just let that motherfucker simmer for a little bit. Ilya Dragunov on a pay-per-view is not a bad thing against Braun Breaker. Even if it's not on the pay-per-view, let's say it's on Raw, I don't still think that's a bad thing. I tend to agree with you. I think Jey Uso, I'll be rooting for Ilya Dragunov. That's just me. Let's jump back to SmackDown real quick. We'll just go over the winners. Obviously, we talked about LA Knight beating Ludwig Kaiser, the Garzas instead of Legado del Fantasma. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. They're beating Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. Have no idea why those two jokers are together. Andrade loses to Carmelo Hayes. That sets the stage at 2 wins apiece. If I didn't see this as a best of 5 or best of 7, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but apparently these jokers are listening to the band from Ringside because we're at least getting a 5th match. And then at the main event, Nia Jax retains the WWE Women's Championship, defeating Michin in a street fight. Not a half-bad street fight, even though, once again, Nia Jax, obviously the predictable winner. The finish with the trash can on Michin as Nia Jax drops the Annihilator on her. Pretty fucking stiff, and I would be lying if I said I did not laugh my ass off for the 5 seconds that it happened afterwards.
Dude, I wouldn't take that bump.
No, hell
I don't care how bad my predictions were that year. I would not take that bump.
I'm pushing out.
Zach would take that for getting first.
I was say, I'll pass on this week's predictions. No, that bump looked absolutely just vicious. I was like, oh, tip to the hat for Michin. I give her more credit than she probably got coming out from that bad boy. We're going to talk about No Mercy on the 3 count. We're going to separate AEW for a little bit, but it's about that time. Let's get to that 2 count. 2 beer. What's that 2 count?
All right, we talked some AEW. I did not watch Rampage, but I wish I would have. I'm probably going to go back and watch it, just the main event, because it was the Takeshita Beast Mortos Commander Leo Rush match, and that sounds awesome. Did anybody watch it?
I did watch it. It was really good, and it had me on the edge of my seat because I was starting to get pissed because I didn't think Takeshita was going to go over. Obviously, he did, but nonetheless, I thought this was a really good 3-beer Zach Pullman party match. If you didn't get a chance to see it and you like AEW Fatal 4-Way matches, this was a classic AEW Fatal 4-Way. I thought it was really solid.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going to go back and check it out just because I like fun, good wrestling. Yeah, I texted these guys. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law reached out. They were a little stir crazy. They work from home. They've been in the house all week, and it was Saturday. And I'm like, hey, do you guys want to go get a drink? And so we walked up to our local watering hole, and I got my favorite draft beer, and we sat down. And fucking AEW Collision was on the TV, and I was like, this is like meant to be. This is a very fun way to watch this show, because nothing really of substance happens on Collision often, but you have a lot of fun wrestling matches. And so, like, I had a great time watching this with no sound and just watching it. But you know, like
I hate to say that you're right, 3Beer, on that, but dude, that couldn't be more of an apt description of Collision. It's really good matches, but there's really not, like, you know, it's storyline driven. It's just for the sickos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. But a couple trios matches opened up. Lee Moriarty, and then Beef Mortos and Johnny TV versus Hologram, Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy. You know, just a party match. Of course, you know, the team with Orange Cassidy and Hologram was going to win. But, yeah, Hologram's kind of, you know, getting that push, that Collision push.
Jesus.
We'll see where it goes.
That push.
Yeah. Oh yeah, push that push. Anyway, another
push in the bush.
Hell to the no.
Another trios match. And then Bang Bang Gang versus Premier Athletes again. Just a fun trios match. Guns win here. You know, I'm into both these teams, like, for very different reasons. Premier Athletes give solid wrestling matches, but they're like charisma vacuums. And Bang Bang Gang give solid wrestling matches and are very fun personalities. So the stars of Collision, the OGs of Collision, FTR wrestled Taven and Bennett here. I mean, on paper, like, this could, like, legitimately be a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
Like, these are two very fucking great tag teams.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see this just randomly thrown on Collision. I was like, okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was cool. I'm not going to complain, but it was just like, this was so random, where it felt like, especially post All In, both teams could be in a spot where you could push either or and, you know, make the tag team division feel like it has, you know, more depth. Obviously, FTR is over, but Undisputed Kingdom, you know, being the ROH tag team champions, that, you know, feels like, you know, the minor league tag team champions in comparison to the AEW. So I felt like this was a chance to really have both teams shine. It was a good match. You know, it lacked a couple of spots here and there, but, you know, ultimately it was not like it was entertaining. I was just surprised that there was not more of a build for these two teams for this match.
Yeah, just thrown together. But it's very funny because I was just like, oh, a couple party matches. Yeah, it's Saturday. Like, you know, we're into it. And I was like, well, this is a treat.
Right.
Like, because I don't know anything about, like, what's going to happen on Collision. Maybe people who spend time on the internet do. They don't really build up a ton of Collision on Dynamite. It's more building up Dynamite on Collision, which is understandable. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, Lance Archer, you know, he's killing guys. Everybody dies. I didn't have to have sound on to know what he was saying.
Amen for that. They just ruined
8-man tag match.
They just ruined Lance Archer. I'm sorry.
I was thinking the same thing when I saw that, and I was like screwing around on my phone, and I had my computer up, and I looked up and I saw him, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure exactly what he just said. Oh well, Lance.
Exactly.
Good job, Lance.
Exactly. Then there was an 8-man tag match with Top Flight, Leo Rush, Action Andretti, like Leo Rush being the addition here. I feel like Action Andretti is already kind of honorary Top Flight. Leo Rush is getting in there, but then the Iron Savages, Jack Jameson and Turbo Floyd. You know, just a party match, and of course, you know, babyfaces win. But then, you know, I was like, oh, okay, we're back to the party matches. But then I was like, oh my God, Kyle Fletcher versus Tomohiro Ishii. And I mean, I complain because they don't give Kyle Fletcher enough wins, but he got a win here. And holy shit, did he earn it?
Okay.
Goddamn, these guys beat the shit out of each other. I was just fucking, I love this match.
the week before, Adam Page and Ishii had a banger. I thought this match with Kyle Fletcher was equally as good. Kyle Fletcher, I think, just is in a spot where, unfortunately, he's just kind of in he's in a spot where you don't know what you can do with him, but you have all this talent. You just got to figure out the right spot for him, whether it's, God forbid, he has to go against Will Ospreay or, be his understudy or whatever, get a rub off of him. But Kyle Fletcher was just so good on Saturday night on Collision. And then obviously on Wednesday night against Okada as well. So, I mean, two really good spots for Kyle Fletcher to shine. I thought he did well both times.
Totally. Then fucking Buddy Matthews versus Commander. I mean, this is all just for the sickos. Buddy Matthews pins Commander again. I don't think I've ever seen Commander win a match, like a singles match, but it doesn't make me like watching him any less.
No.
And then, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that this was weird because Buddy Matthews is like 20, 30 pounds easily heavier than Commander and just, can, stick with Commander for the most part when it comes to the flippy shit. There's certain things that, Buddy Matthews can't do, but I thought this was a pretty good complementary of styles. Ultimately, the right guy probably went over, especially when you just paid him all this money. So, unfortunately for Commander, it was just probably wrong place, wrong time. But it was an interesting, entertaining match.
Yeah, and then main event, Queen Aminata, Serena Deeb, Garcia, and Thunder Rosa. I was not paying attention to this. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on it, but I didn't see a bit of it.
Shida ends up going over, so she'll be facing Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. Unfortunately, not the person I wanted to see. Obviously, I have my strong feelings about Shida and her being used in situations like this to put the next person over. I was honestly rooting for Thunder Rosa at that point because I'm like, well, damn it, if we got to put somebody over, let Thunder Rosa be the one to put her over for a little bit. She just beat Deonna Purrazzo. That I felt like it just made, the Tony booking sense. You build somebody else up for the next person. So in that scenario, I was thinking Thunder Rosa, but unfortunately for me, Shida did win this match. This was fine. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. And I'm not saying it's just because of the finish. It just, something was off. And I just think it's certain times where, it's just chemistry. There just wasn't a really good chemistry between these four women. But in this scenario, the right woman probably end up going over because this is an all-out match. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But for this four-way, hard pass. I'm going to say just not really worth the watch. And unfortunately, Shida's getting ready to get fed to Mercedes.
I don't feel bad then. In regards to fantastic storyline, so Dynamite, this is a really good Dynamite. Not everything on it was amazing, but holy shit. I just got to give some flowers to Adam Page. Adam Page was the focal point. He was not only in the main event for the very first crowning of an AEW World Champion, him versus Chris Jericho at the original Double or Nothing. He was the focal point of the best story so far in AEW, which was that phenomenal story with Kenny Omega as tag team champions, the breakup, Kenny as the belt collector, and then Page working his way up through the ranks to challenge Kenny for the title and ultimately beating him. That is one of my favorite wrestling stories in history. It was phenomenal. It was really well done. I feel like because there's so much wrestling, we forget about stuff like that. This Swerve Strickland storyline is getting there for me. This is so good. This main event angle was one of the best main event angles I've ever seen as a 30-plus year wrestling fan. Like, fucking Adam Page burns down this man's childhood house. He's like, when the cops came through, me and Page stood next to a burnt down house. With a handful of gas and a handful of matches, and still wrestled all out.
Right here.
Right here.
He's just like, fuck your house, motherfucker. Like, this is so well done.
Oh man! So I was at work last night, and I'm finishing with my tables, and I usually go outside, smoke a cigarette, and I look, play on my phone or whatever, check Facebook, Twitter, yada yada yada. And friend of the show, Michael Wallace Seals, has a post of basically saying that he thought Drew and Punk was the feud of the year until now. Holy shit! And I'm like, okay, so what happened tonight on Dynamite? So I go home and I watch this shit, and I'm literally not saying a word. I'm just listening to Hangman just, break down his side of this whole thing. And the more and more I'm listening to him, I'm more and more like, I mean, this motherfucker got a point.
He's not wrong.
He ain't wrong. Tell him when he's telling lies. So I'm sitting here watching this shit, and I'm like, oh, man, is that a gas leak? Oh, no, this motherfucker isn't. So obviously, as he's burning down the house, I'm sitting there like, first and foremost, there's no way that they did that live. There had to be like a burning house in the background and you plugged in Adam Page. However they did it, kudos to that shit, because that shit looked good as fuck. But ultimately, the biggest thing is, I don't know who's the babyface at this point. They're both just being legitimate assholes in their own way. So neither one of them are ultimately likable. But now I'm like, this match is going to be so bonkers off the wall, because now it's really personal. It feels personal more than it did before, which felt like it couldn't have gotten to another level. And now we're just here. I thought this final segment was so well done. I cannot wait for this. If this is not the main event, I don't know what the fuck we're doing. And this
it's officially a lights out match.
Oh.
So
yeah, it's officially lights out.
So it's the end of the pay per view. It's after the Danielson Jungle Boy, because no way, like, they're gonna do this cage match and then Jungle Boy and Danielson go out there with a technical wrestling match. Like, ain't gonna happen.
This match is going to be so disgustingly dirty. Like, they've already bled in each other's mouths and drank each other's blood and ate the kids' blueberries. This is going to be disgusting. This is going to be disgusting.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, dude, Moxley's going to be sitting in the back in the back room watching it in the cuck chair. That's how gross it's going to be.
I legitimately think this could be on the list of match of the year candidates, not having Will Ospreay in it. That's how high of hopes I have, because you have got me to the point where I'm like, okay, both you motherfuckers deserve their asses to get kicked. I don't know which one of you motherfuckers are least likable, but y'all both some ignorant assholes. So now at this point, just like, fuck it, let's throw them in the cage and let them figure this shit out. I cannot fucking wait for Saturday in this match. Talk about the opening of Dynamite, 3-Beer.
Yeah, because I mean, that's the hope, right? I mean, that's what you do with the pay per view. Whenever you got to get people to spend $50, you got to give them a match that they want to see, and fuck, they've done that.
Mm-hmm.
Opening, I really think the way this Dynamite was structured is very similar to how the pay per view is going to be structured. I think MJF and Daniel Garcia are going to open the pay per view, just because MJF's not headlining, so he tends to open when he's not headlining, and also I think these are kind of the two biggest grudge matches on the show. Because Daniel Garcia came out ready for a fight, also did a fantastic job on the microphone. This is the best promos that I've seen him cut, and they were against MJF. I mean, little shoot, little kayfabe, but, talking about him going to Turkey to get a hair transplant that didn't work, wearing makeup to cover his acne, saying he, can't find a woman to love him for more than a year, and like just some really cutting stuff. And, MJF talked about his mom, and, MJF was just MJF. This was awesome. The only thing I didn't love is when a babyface comes out looking for a fight and then they get laid out, especially whenever it is unlikely that babyface is going to win the match on the pay-per-view. That Garcia came off looking a little bit like a chump. If I had more confidence that Garcia was going to win this match, I might think differently about the booking of the segment versus the booking of the match, but maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe Garcia will come out on top.
I like the segment ultimately. I thought it was really well done just to have it open with a hot segment. Daniel Garcia is not necessarily known for his mic work, and I thought he did pretty good considering the MJF spotlight, so to speak. MJF is always solid. I mean, he'll get Daniel Garcia over at least on the verbal part of it, but the physical match, I'm curious. I mean, I always think, and this is just me, and I don't know why I think this, but like, I know how good MJF is. But in my head, I'm like, Daniel Garcia is this technical wrestler, blah, blah, blah. MJF ain't no punk. I mean, I keep forgetting how good his last, 6 months, calendar year has been in AEW when it comes to matches. So in this scenario, I have to remember that MJF is probably going to step up to the plate and make this match look good. Bolo, did you even watch Dynamite at all?
Yeah, I watched most of it. I watched this beginning, and dude, the things he was saying to him, I was cracking up. I'm sorry, but you just can't say shit like that. When he was talking about his mom will take care of Garcia when he's in a bed, and he'll take care of his wife, I was like, Jesus Christ!
Come on, you need your ass beat, and that's why I'm not.
He's like these fans used to love me. And then I got too big, and like rats, they turned on me. They don't want your love, Danny. These fickle bastards want to watch you fall. I was like, Jesus.
I mean,
give it to him.
He wasn't lying too much. I mean, as soon as he lost, they was basically on Joe's team real quick. I mean, he wasn't the champ. Wasn't the champ longer than 2 minutes, or dropped the title for longer than 2 minutes. They was all on Joe's team. So I mean, MJF, as heel as he is, I don't necessarily think he's telling lies in that scenario. That's just me. Like I said, I'm looking forward to this match too. Not as much as Ospreay, Pac, or obviously Swerve and Hangman Page, but this is probably number 3 on the list of matches I want to see for sure.
Yeah, really good card so far. Okada wrestled Kyle Fletcher. This was really good. I thought because they went so long, they were going to do another draw. They just did one with Claudio and Okada, but they did protect Fletcher a little bit here in the loss by him having a low blow. But this was a lot of fun. Don Callis is a lot of fun on commentary. Fletcher will get there, and him being featured, he's winning some matches. He's not winning enough. He's kind of, I think, in the old Takeshita role. And I think Takeshita, after coming back from the G1, is going to be stepped up. We haven't really seen him. But I think Takeshita's push is coming now. And actually my early prediction, because they're doing three singles matches on Friday, because they have a 3-hour block.
Right.
I don't know what all of them are, but 3 singles matches, and I know Takeshita's in one of them. And the winners of those 3 matches are going to all be in a 4-way with Okada.
Orange Cassidy and Brian Keith is another. And I can't think of what the third match is off the top of my head. But, yeah, the winners of those matches will face Okada at All In on Saturday.
But I see Takeshita in that match for sure.
He better
and I think Takeshita has a decent chance of winning.
Okay. This motherfucker dropping.
Maybe that's just wishful thinking.
This motherfucker dropping his predictions before the shit even happens. Ease up, copy time, man. We'll get there. What's next?
Yeah, I don't know if we were doing predictions on that just because the fucking match doesn't even exist yet. But yeah, Jamie Hayter beat a gal in a squash match. Robin Renegade. It was fine. Kind of weird that Roderick Strong is getting a title match after getting choked out by Hook. I don't love that as a setup. It's yeah, you choked me out, but my foot was under the ropes. It's I don't know, does that fucking work in any other context? Yeah, you choked me out, but what? He fucking choked you out. You don't get a title match.
No.
Sorry, Roderick, even though you're fucking awesome. Why do you want that title anyway? But that's a thing for them to do. The match sounds good, even if the build is not. John Moxley enters with Marina Shafir, and she's just beating motherfuckers down. Marina's Roddy's wife, right?
I would have to.
No idea.
Yeah, I was going to say I
think they're married.
That's a Google check.
I'm Googling it. We're taking a quick break. Hold on.
I was about to say.
I got you.
I don't think that she is, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it's Marina Shafir.
Yep, never mind.
Yeah, so they're married. Anyway, that's pretty badass. This is cool. Like, I don't know, like, thing with Marina, she was always, like, very solid, especially in that, like, Shayna Baszler type role. Like, this is the kind of thing, like, Shayna Baszler, this is the kind of thing that they should have just Ronda Rousey doing. Like, she's not very charismatic at all.
Right.
To just have her with, I mean, Moxley can talk for anybody. Moxley could cut a promo that convinced you that I could wrestle a match. Like, that's fucking insane.
Yep,
hey, did you guys catch during this when Young Bucks and Jack Perry walked by and Moxley called Jack Perry a sweet kid?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care what anybody says. You're a sweet kid. And I don't think any of them knew what he was going to say. I don't think that was scripted. I mean, obviously the segment was scripted, but like, I don't think any of them knew what he was going to say because like they were like, it popped all like they were hard.
Oh yeah, it totally came. It felt like it came from right field, and just the look on like Matt's face, it looked like he was really trying not to laugh right there, then and there. So I guess ultimately, here's the question: this is the second week he's called out Darby Allin to talk. Is this the start of a heel Moxley, and is Darby going to be his first opponent, or is this the start of a new faction? Because obviously at the end of Dynamite, when Blackpool Combat Club got jumped, one person was absent with his presence, and that was one Jon Moxley. Vice, which do you think is happening? Do we see Moxley versus Darby, or do we see Moxley with Darby?
Honestly, I do not want to see Moxley versus Darby. Oh, God. That match would be disgusting. I wouldn't want to watch that.
It would be like Faces of Death.
Oh, my God.
That, like, 12-year-old me bought at a convenience store from a stoned clerk who didn't know any better.
And he'd be like, you know you done fucked up, right?
Right.
You know you done fucked up. You said you bought the bottle of beer. No, I don't want to see that match. But I also don't want to see Moxley and Darby Allin running around just bleeding everywhere. Like they'd never be able to hide. You just follow the blood.
Stop, nigga.
I think it could be a little bit of both. I think it could be a match and then a collaboration. It does seem like we're getting something different with Blackpool Combat Club with Moxley, though. He's separate from those guys.
Yes.
But I think he's back to tweener land because it's very hard for them to dislike Jon Moxley. He has been the company man. He's literally like, if you think of AEW and you think of like who's the most important guy to the whole company, like, yeah, it was Jericho at first to get them off the ground. But like Jon Moxley was there at the original Double or Nothing. He didn't wrestle, but he debuted and we were all at Joey's house. And that was a fucking big pop. And that was a big deal. And that's something I'll remember for my whole fucking life. And that dude put this company on his back so many times. Like, he's the MVP in AEW. So even when he's heel, it's hard for them to not like him. So
no, I'm curious. I'm curious to see where it goes. I wouldn't mind seeing Moxley versus Darby, just because I think it would be Darby just getting, like Vice said, just getting waylaid for about 15 or 20 minutes and just not being able to get pinned, but. There's something intriguing about it. I can't put my finger on why, but there's something intriguing about Darby versus Mox. That's just me.
There was a women's world title match, Mariah May versus Nyla Rose. I think it was for the title. Maybe not.
It was.
It doesn't matter because nobody thought that Nyla Rose was going to win, even as a former champion. So this isn't fucking 2019. Nyla, sorry. No. We got bigger stars.
Yeah, poor Nyla. I've kind of felt bad for her. She's in the Hikaru Shida role where, she's a former champion in this case. Shida's a 3-time champ. Nyla's won it, twice, I think. Feels right. Neither here nor there. It's just, a way to build up Mariah May, which I thought they did. I think Mariah looked pretty good in this match. It was a good start for her title reign. Tony's already talking about her title rematch is going to be down the line. So as long as, we got time between now and the Tony Storm rematch, this is a good time to build up Mariah May as the current AEW champion as best as possible. So, yeah, a title match here or there between now and Tony Storm ain't going to hurt. I thought this was a good start.
Yeah, I sent Tony Khan a cease and desist letter today because Camille is banned from ringside.
Okay.
During the
where's our
Mercedes Monet match. I think Kevin Kelly beat me to the punch, so he might be a little busy. He might not get to read my letter today, but I asked him to please stop.
I say, man, Christopher Davis looked dead into that camera. I was like, son of a bitch, he owes us money.
Dude, I texted him right away. He still hasn't got back to me.
Okay, about to say, stay on that motherfucker, man.
I see Christopher Daniels too. So,
go eat his blue.
And then, middle of this show was like, this is like a bookended show. Really good Dynamite, but like mostly just kind of a bookended show. Like Blackpool Combat Club versus Conglomeration. A lot of good wrestlers in here. But like, this is just, again, this felt like kind of more of a fucking collision match. It's like you had Will Ospreay in there, with the Conglomeration. Fun Mark Briscoe promo like beforehand, just classic Mark Briscoe promo. But like, the big story here was Will and Pac, and they got in there, mixed it up a little bit. We're all very excited for that. Bryan Danielson was on commentary. My favorite part of this match was actually Bryan Danielson on commentary because they were putting up he was just marking out about the pay-per-view that was coming up about matches that he was not in. Like they put up an infographic for Pac versus Will Ospreay. He's like, oh my God. He's like, this match. He's like, do you guys know how good this match is going to be? And you can just tell he was
pretty much being
a
mark. Totally being a mark. I'm like, dude, calm down, man. Act like you're the champ, man. Settle down. Shit.
But this is good. A lot of good people in here. Blackpool Combat Club wins, and then the Elite attacked afterwards. And then Claudio challenges the Elite to a tag match. So we're going to have, Claudio and Wheeler Yuta versus Young Bucks. Sounds like a good match on paper. I would say nobody thinks that the Young Bucks are going to lose this match, but shit, nobody thought the BCC was going to win the trios titles last fucking pay-per-view. But anyway, who knows what could happen?
We gonna find out because we got predictions coming up on that here in a little bit. Anything else on AEW that we forgot about? Want to talk about? Didn't think so. I thought we covered it. Let's get to that 3 count. So the 3 count, we're going to jump back over to WWE, but talk a little developmental. NXT No Mercy was on Sunday. The damn near forgot about this motherfucker, and then I saw Nathan Frazier and Axiom versus Chase U. I was like, oh, almost forgot about this. So let's break it down. That was the opening match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Chase U, the defending champions, Ridge Holland and Andre Chase versus the former champions in Axiom and Nathan Frazier. Former champions win clean. I thought this was a nice little curtain jerker. I caught myself kind of jostling between teams I was rooting for. I didn't necessarily like Nathan Frazier and Axiom, kind of for whatever reason. Don't ask me why, but now I'm on their team because they feel like a team. They got some nice little combination moves. Won the match clean, but then after the match, the moment I've been waiting for a long, long time finally actually happened. Ridge Holland finally snaps and goes off and destroys Chase U, leaving Andre Chase laid out to get stretchered off after the fact. 3 Beer, talk about the match, and then if you want to talk about Ridge Holland's punk ass, you can. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, I loved it. Really good match. I love Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They're 2 of the best wrestlers on the brand, and having them as a tag team is a real delight. That said, I thought that the breakup was coming on that end, so I'd pick Chase U to win. And boy, was I wrong. Andrew Chase looked really good in this, but I do like the consistency. I'm watching the NXT product, and like Ridge Holland said, I'll watch your back as long as we have these titles. And then they lost the titles, and he was fucking done with them because, he's the guy that made the pin to win the titles.
Right.
And so basically thinking that, hey, you fucked up and you lost this for us. And then, so now he's going to work his way. Yeah. He's going to work his way through Chase U. Another fun thing, Chase U is over to Full Sail, which, is Full Sail. They were in a big arena here. There was 6,000 people in Denver. This is an overact.
Yes.
Way more than I thought. I like them, but it was cool to see.
No, I'm sorry, Vice. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
No, I knew that Chase U was over, but no, I agree with you. When Ridge flipped on Chase U and their reaction, the fan reaction to it was really this was a big deal to start the show. And the more and more the fans kind of, was like, don't do it, to get trying to talk Ridge Holland off the ledge, is the more and more I was like, okay, see, I knew I didn't like Ridge Holland to begin with. Fuck Ridge Holland. No, I'm joking. I'm just glad that they finally pulled the trigger on Ridge Holland because, like I said last week, it felt like this was going to happen, but ultimately I thought it was going to happen in a loss. Like if they would have lost the titles before they won it the second time, if they'd have lost against Nathan Frazier and Axiom on NXT TV, then I would have been like, okay, Ridge flipping on Chase U would have felt like the right time to do it. They waited a couple weeks and then do it, and then after the fact, you had Ridge Holland on Wednesday basically, saying exactly what you said, Three Beer. I helped win the titles. I brought Chase U back up, and now all of a sudden, you guys dropped the ball, and now I'm pissed off. It took a while, but we finally got here. So thank you, Shawn Michaels, for finally getting us to this Ridge Holland heel turn I've been waiting for a long, long time. Next up, you had Zachary Wentz versus Wes Lee. I did not know Zachary Wentz was the TNA X Division champion until Sunday night. So, unfortunately, that probably fucked my prediction up, but neither here nor there. I thought this was a solid match. To me, the right person went over, especially in a scenario where you had Joe Hendry on the back end when I didn't know if Joe Hendry was going to win. If you're going to throw a TNA bone, this was the bone you probably could throw to them because obviously you can run it back at a later point between the two guys or have Wesley interfere in the title match, the tag title match next week, Rascals versus Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Neither here nor there. I thought this was a really good match. The right person won, and you brought in Trey Miguel to help get the lick back on Wesley. All well done, and the match, like I said, really solid on top of it. Three Beer, what you got on it?
Yeah, really good. The only thing I didn't like was I didn't predict it right because I had done the flip flop and I was like, they're going to put Wesley over because they're going to put Joe Hendry over. But then in the meantime, between our predictions or maybe it already happened, he had won that title and I was like, fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say it was whatever Friday or Saturday night. Emergence was, I think it was Friday night because it was the same night as SmackDown. So yeah. I watched a little bit of that and saw him beat Mike Bailey. This is post the fact or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, son of a bitch, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to have Zachary Wentz on NXT/WWE programming, having the X Division title doesn't necessarily hurt. Sucks for Mike Bailey. I like Mike Bailey a lot, but I totally get the why of you having the title on Zachary Wentz. But like I said, I don't think this is the end of Wentz versus Wesley by any stretch of the imagination. Next up, probably my least favorite match of the bunch, you had Kalani Jordan versus, Jesus Christ, Wendy Choo for the women's North American title. Not a big fan of the Wendy Choo heel gimmick. I think she's a pretty good talent, but I liked her better as the babyface. Kalani Jordan just doesn't do much for me as a babyface. She's very plain Jane, vanilla, cookie cutter, whatever words you want to use in the sentence. I thought this match was fine. Unfortunately, it was probably the match that I was paying attention to the least, and that's not necessarily the best thing for either one of these women. If it was me personally, Jada Parker would be in this spot, but obviously we'll talk about Jada Parker here in a little bit. Vice, did you watch this match at all?
No, I did not. No, I'm still here. No, I did not watch that. I fast forwarded right through that.
Three Beer, did you watch this at all?
I'm being honest.
Hey man, it's your podcast too, man. Be real.
You did yourself a favor. This match fucking sucked. It was not good. I like Kalani Jordan. They have her do too much gymnastics in her match, but I feel like that's not her fault. It's more what they're telling her to do, I'm assuming. But Wendy Chu's gimmick fucking sucks. Who was it that came in afterwards? Tatum Paxley, is that her?
Yes.
Her gimmick fucking sucks. Not looking forward to Tatum Paxley versus Wendy Chu at all.
Yeah, that was weird. That didn't even make sense. And maybe because I missed the 2 weeks of the NXT, and I don't even think missing 2 weeks would make this make any more sense. Why is Tatum attacking Wendy Chu when she should be attacking the person that's the champ? And then Lyra Valkyria came out like on Wednesday or Tuesday night to help make the save when Rosemary and Wendy Chu were attacking Tatum Paxley. This whole thing was weird. You know what I'm saying? The match wasn't necessarily.
I think they were just like.
Oh, go ahead.
No, the match sucked, and I think. Sorry to cut you off. The match sucked, and I think they're just like looking toward Halloween Havoc, and they're like, we need a spooky match, which is gonna suck.
Jesus Christ! Don't do me like this. You just gonna stand on the fact that this match sucked, huh?
No,
he's dying on the hill.
I really like Kalani Jordan a lot. I really like her a lot. But she's got a lot of potential. But this match sucks.
I can't say he's like, yeah, motherfucker, I'm gonna stand on it. I can't say I disagree with you. Like I said, I've grown to like Kalani Jordan over time, but yeah, this did not do much for me. The finish didn't do anything. It just felt like this was just kind of there to be there, and then that's a disappointment for Kalani Jordan. That she's got a lot of talent, just got to figure out how to use her in the right way. Next up, speaking of how to use somebody in the right way, Obafemi versus Tony D'Angelo for the men's North American Championship. I thought this was really good. Obafemi, once again, I think they said this was his 20th, including this match, it's his 22nd match as a professional wrestler. If you would have never thrown that stat out there, I would have never guessed that stat was even in existence. Tony D'Angelo was a nice opponent because, like I said last week, I thought Tony can wrestle. He can legitimately wrestle as non-kayfabe and in kayfabe style. He can actually wrestle and do this sort of thing. So I thought this was a nice little matchup. Once again, right person went over. Obafemi should be holding this title for the foreseeable future. If he runs the rest of the year with it, it wouldn't and shouldn't be a surprise. He is that guy right now. Sing the praises of Obafemi, Three Beer.
Oh man, Obafemi is one of those guys where you look at him and you're like, they looked at him and they're like, we're putting our secondary title on this guy early, and man, it's working. And not too many guys get that treatment. Last guy that I feel like that was around NXT that wasn't black and gold indie darling NXT, but like developmental NXT.
Right.
He's very different, but I feel like he has a similar trajectory as Braun Breaker, like maybe even more so than Trick Williams.
Oh yeah, I think I'm a Trick guy, and I think that, I was making, and I shouldn't say I was making excuses, but I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt of early struggles as the guy, as the NXT champion. He's going to have to grow into it, which I still think he could have grown into it. Them taking the title off of Trick isn't necessarily an indictment on Trick, but it definitely, is a signal that maybe they pulled the trigger too fast, too soon. The Obafemi route with him being the North American champion before being the NXT champion, I think is the smarter way to go. I wish they did that with Trick, but Trick had a different, different angle, different storyline. He was paired next to Carmelo Hayes, who is both the NXT and North American champion and the NXT champion at separate points, obviously, but neither here nor there. If it was me, I would have just went the Obafemi route, but I think ultimately both guys are going to get over. Trick just, for right now, feels like he's a little behind Obafemi, even though Trick was the champion at that point, at a certain point.
Yeah, Trick has like a charisma, but it's just different. I feel like with Braun and with Obafemi, I feel like it's just like kind of more visceral and like kind of like real, where people are just like, this guy fucking rules, whereas Trick's fun to cheer. But like, you see those guys and you're like, holy shit, I just love watching these guys beat the fuck out of guys.
Obafemi stands out like one of those guys that, when he walks into the room, it's like, oh shit, who the fuck is this guy? I cannot wait.
Like the guy you at least want to stand at a urinal next to.
Oh, hell no. I don't want to be anywhere near that dude. Oh, you what? Money, man. Take my arm, please. Don't fuck with me right now.
I'm just saying, tight dick player, and I'd fucking bounce even if I had to piss so bad.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. Next up, the aforementioned Jada Parker versus, yeah, right, you are horrible, versus Roxanne for the NXT Women's Championship. Jada Parker coming in banged up with some cracked ribs, not cracked ribs, but damaged ribs, and that basically was the story of the match. Roxanne takes advantage of the damaged ribs, wins clean. Another tip in another feather in the cap of Roxanne, tip of the hat, whatever you want to call it. I was a huge fan of Roxanne when she was Roxy in Ring of Honor. To see her grow into Roxanne Perez, this two-time NXT heel women's champion, has been fun to watch, but obviously this has all been done to set up bigger matches down the line. And post-match, we had the debut of possibly one of those bigger matches. Giulia debuts in NXT. She and Roxanne stare each other down. Then on Tuesday night, Giulia comes out a second time and announces a challenge for the title on the CW premiere. I believe that is October 1st, if I'm not mistaken. So, Two-Beer, it's a two-part question. You could talk about the match. Tell me what you like about Jada Parker and or Roxanne. And the second part, how excited are you for Giulia/Roxanne Perez?
Very positive on both things. I think Roxanne is probably the best bell-to-bell wrestler in NXT, men or women. Like, she's fucking great. She's better than half of the gals on the main roster. Fucking get her up there. And you need some fucking youth on that roster. Get her up there next year because she deserves it. Jada Parker was really good in this match. I don't want to fault her by omission there. Giulia, though, comes off like a fucking star. Oof. And anywhere she goes, she's got such presence. I was very pleasantly surprised with the pop she got from Denver. Again, big crowd. She came off with like a big star, and I don't think Roxanne is long for that title because as soon as Giulia came out, I was like, this is her fucking show now, man. Like, again, man or woman, like, Giulia's got 3 times the fucking charisma of Ethan Page. It'll be an adjustment, though. I am not worried for Giulia, but she's in a different world now than kicking the shit out of gals in Stardom, where it's hard hitting and athletic. This is a TV product with Division I athletes. So it's not a bunch of girls that grew up idolizing Crush Gals. Like this is a different world. So we'll see. But Giulia's awesome. Very excited for the eventual Giulia Roxanne match.
No, I think Giulia is going to end up rocking somebody's jaw in the first couple months. It's going to be an adjustment in both ways. Somebody's going to catch that work. The Giulia knees, Giulia strikes. They ain't no joke. Vice, did you watch this match at all?
I watched a little bit of it. The one thing I did like, though, was that they showed separate video packages for each person before the match. Like, it showed their perspectives going into the match. I thought that was kind of cool.
No, I
agree. Actually watching that made me actually stick around for it.
No, I agree.
Good point. I feel like they should really do that. That's a good point that I feel like every promotion could benefit from going into match, especially a main title match.
Yeah, and it showed both sides too. It didn't just show like a recap of what they've been going through on TV. I really like that. I thought that was cool. Yeah, that was the only reason to stick around. I thought it was a fun match.
The
crowd was hyped too. The crowd was hyped for this one too.
Yeah, it felt like almost an NXT show, but it was more of a pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I like the fact that you did have vignettes on both of the women, and then vignettes for different people. Fatal Influence. Somebody else had a vignette too, leading up to, and it had nothing to do with the pay-per-view itself. Izzy Dame was another person. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about Izzy Dame, but I like her. It was cool to see her have a vignette on this Joker as well. So I mean, in that scenario, I will agree with you on that. Other people that were not even involved had vignettes, but Jada Parker and Roxanne having separate vignettes leading up to the match. That was cool too. The main event, obviously, very, very interesting, very intriguing, especially the finish of this bad boy. Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page for the NXT title with Trick Williams as the special guest referee. Obviously, shenanigans gets involved where Trick is knocked out of the ring. You had to bring in a true blue referee to finish the match. When Trick slid into the ring and had his body stop the 3 count, I thought that was like, I don't know how the fuck he did that, but I was like, oh shit, that's the greatest fucking thing I've seen in a hot minute. And that to me was like, the match was already good, but then when he did that, I was like, oh my god, shit, I'm popping into my motherfucking seat. I was like, this motherfucking match has gotten out of control. I thought that was, I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how he did it, but it was just like right perfect, where it was like 2 3/4. He hits Trick right before the 3 count hits the mat. I thought that was so well done. Obviously, Trick having to count Ethan Page as the winner was a nice little, jab in the side. Then having Pete Dunne immediately attack Trick Williams post-match, I thought was good, because now you immediately can go into that match that ends up on Tuesday as a double count out. So obviously we'll be going back to that here in a second. Talk about Joe Hendry. Talk about the flip of the Trick Williams having to be knocked out, but then coming back in, having to make the final count of 3 to get Ethan Page to win. It's all yours, 3Beard. Knock yourself out.
Yeah, I'm not like a huge Hendry guy, at least comparatively to the IWC. I feel like there's like a huge deal. There's a big thing about the number of impressions that the video got, whenever he kind of came into NXT. And I don't have anything negative to say about him at all. I thought this was a fun match, but I'm just not like sold on him. And maybe I'll be a guy that's like eating my words in 9 months. Maybe Joe Hendry will be my Brodus Clay, like Bill. But I don't know. Maybe also this is all tinted because I really wanted him to win to salvage my predictions, and he fucking didn't do it for me. So,
hey, don't be hating on Joe Hendry because you made some bad mistakes.
But I do think it's very silly. There was also a little bit of a pet peeve of mine whenever wrestlers are, you were right about the 3 count thing, but whenever wrestlers are referees and there's ref bumps, it needs to be a pretty significant fucking bump. As a former NXT champion,
Right.
If you're bumping this motherfucker and he's got refs are basically like minions, and like in Dungeons and Dragons, they got 1 hit point. If they get hit, they're fucking done. That's just how refs are. But like, wrestlers are not though.
Phil's gonna love this.
He got his Dungeons and Dragons dig in. There you go, everybody. VGM, there you go. We talk Dungeons and Dragons on this motherfucker too.
You got that on your BFR bingo card. You can check that off.
Hey, Steph, I made a cum joke. So you're going to fucking knock that bingo, you fucking sick fuck.
I would have never. Quick sidebar for 30 seconds. If there was an over-under on, which would come first, a cum joke from Zach or a Dungeons and Dragons joke from Zach, I mean, this would, everybody would be like, it's a cum joke. He did Dungeons and Dragons. Joke. Yeah, I was going to say he did a Dungeons and Dragons joke first. This has got to be a first.
And the cuck chair is running a quick third, a really short third.
Got Moxley jerking off with Daniel Garcia's blood while he watches Swerve and Paige.
There we go.
Zach just went from 6 to midnight.
Now we're back on track. Speaking of Swerve and Paige, let's make some predictions.
Oh my God.
Shit, that's great. All right, so it is prediction time. I have Mr. Bill Vege's predictions with me. I did not look at his predictions because I wanted to make sure that his predictions did not influence my own. Give me 30 seconds. I got to pull up his predictions on the phone. What match are you looking forward to the most, 3-Beer, obviously, besides Swerve and Hangman Page?
I'd say besides Swerve and Page, it's got to be Ospreay Pac, just because I texted you guys as soon as this match was announced after Wembley, where I was like, no story needed, just for the sickos. I don't care. Like, just the fact that this match is on paper, it's like already 4 stars, and anything else is gravy.
Oh, that was gonna be my top pick. I think this match is gonna be fucking awesome.
Okay, shit, that's what's up. All right, I'm going to start with something pretty easy. We're going to go with which one he doesn't have, which is even better. Willow versus Chris Statlander for the CMLL women's title. This is now a Chicago street fight. Bill is going to abstain because he didn't give me a pick. Not a big deal. It shouldn't matter here or there. I will go first as the host. I am going to take Chris Statlander here. I think there is no way on God's green earth, and this is the guy that picked Willow. Chris Statlander and Stokely 2 weeks before. But I got to take Chris Statlander here. It's a nice way to get the title off of Willow Nightingale. Not like she needs to have the title off of her, but a nice way to extend this feud. I think this is a pretty good feud. I like Chris Statlander as a heel, and it's a nice way to kind of, get a jab back into Willow Nightingale because she's the one that picked the stip. So it would be a great way, it'd be nice irony to see her lose on said stip. 3-Beer, who you got?
I got Chris Statlander as well. I don't think this is for that CMLL title, though. I think it's just a match, which makes my pick even more likely. So yeah, I got Chris Statlander here.
I'm gonna double check that. We'll go to Wikipedia as we go along. But I thought it was a title match, but I could easily be wrong. Neither here nor there. We both take Chris Statlander. A match that he does, he being Bill, have actually predictions for is the Continental Championship match. Okada versus 3 TBAs. We'll go with Bill first.
What did he pick? TBA number 1?
Unfortunately, no. I was waiting for the the car wreck pick, and he's not giving me one yet, but I just did kind of glance at them, so I can't say that it is for certain, but he has Okada as most likely and all TBAs afterwards. So in that scenario, I'll let Three Beer go next. We said 2 of the 3, Orange Cassidy, Takeshita. I just don't know what the third match is going to be to represent the third TBA. So I guess the question is, do you want to deviate from that, or is Okada and the field the way you want to go?
Let's just do it just for fun, just because it's not really fair to do an actual point pick, but just for fun, I'm going to pick Takeshita as the one to win, and I'm going to pick Okada as second least likely, Orange Cassidy as number 3, and TBA as number 4. And then, of course, when Takeshita wins, right, I'm going to want this to be for points.
Right, exactly. Of course you will. That means that would make absolutely all the fucking sense in the world. That being said, I'm going to stick to my guns, and as much as I want to follow you on the Takeshita train, I just cannot. I would love to see. I don't think Takeshita is the one to take the pin. Whoever the fourth person is that we can't think of might be the person that actually eats the pin. Okada retains, but then Okada and Takeshita somewhere down the line on a singles match is where I would like to see this happen. So I'm going Okada, Takeshita, Orange Cassidy, TBA. All right. Next up, we're going Bucks versus Blackpool Combat Club for the AEW titles. I will let Three Beer go first. I'm sure I have a pretty good idea of where this is going, but I'll just let you say it because, like the police, I like to hear the confession. Who you got?
I got the greatest tag team in wrestling history, Claudio and Wheeler. You don't know. It is the Young Bucks.
I was about to say, you lying ass motherfucker. You ain't shit. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously, I will take the Bucks as well. Bill has the Bucks as well. Clean sweep for the Bucks. I did check about the Will Nightingale Chris Statlander match. It is just a Chicago street fight, no title on the line. Doesn't make much sense, but hey, doesn't change my pick. I'm still keeping Statlander as the pick. Next up, let's pick something a little more exciting in a match that we're all saying we're looking forward to. Will Ospreay versus Pac. I will go first. As much as I like Pac, as the little interaction we saw on Wednesday night where I was watching, I'm like, damn, Pac can actually keep up with Will Ospreay. Damn, Pac can do a lot of the shit Will Ospreay can do. He can't do one thing. He ain't beating Will Ospreay on Saturday night. I'm taking Will Ospreay to retain the AEW International Championship. Bill does the same. Or is this the second clean sweep we have, Three Beer?
It is, and I would say that this would be my Stone Cold Blood Pipe Block of the Week, but there are actually, believe it or not, more predictable matches on this show, even though I think it will be a very good show. Predictable is not always bad.
Predictable is not always bad.
There's at least 2 more matches that are worthy of the SC, LT, LOTW.
Ooh, look at my boys. Let's see. He had to stop and think about it.
Look at this guy get down.
He stopped to think about those last few letters. It's like, wait, yep, we're good. Next up, we're going to talk about a predictable ass match, but one of my matches that has the candidate for Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Week, Mercedes Moné versus Sheeta. I am going to let Three Beer go first. Who you got?
I have Mercedes Moné. And yeah, you're right. This is another candidate.
Bill has Mercedes. I am taking Mercedes, and I am putting the Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Week here just for the fact that it reinforces how poorly Sheeta has been treated as the ace of the women's division. The ace of the women's division. Don't make me laugh. I about fell out the goddamn chair. She said that shit. I was like, man, Tony, you got this girl all fucked up. You got her thinking, oh yeah, 3 AEW title reigns. One of them means something, and that one was in the pandemic, and a lot of people don't even remember that, but neither here nor there. Another clean sweep, Mercedes Moné, all picked by the BFR boys. Next up, possibly the one that everybody's not really waiting for, but probably another candidate for Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Week. Bryan Danielson defending the AEW Championship versus Jack Perry. I said it last week. I was a little underwhelmed as I saw Jack Perry being the first guy up, but I did say that Jack Perry needed some sort of push. He beat Darby Allin in his own game, so this is the reward. Whether I like the reward or not, it's here, and it should be interesting. I'll go first. I'm taking Danielson. No way in hell he's losing on the first rip as the AEW champion. Can't do it. 3 Beer, who you got?
I have a very funny story real quick. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but whenever I was a kid, sorry, I'm really stoned. I've had a few beers, but
do that shit.
I was school supply shopping, and I just got thinking about this because I just recently did school supply shopping for my kids. But I was probably in like 5th grade, and I really liked 90210, the show. I don't know if you guys indulged, but it's a very good show.
No, I watched 90210. I'll say if we gonna be, giving out the confessions for the week, I was a big 90210 kind of guy. Love me some Melrose Place. I thought both shows were nice little train wrecks to watch, especially when they were back to back in the day. But go ahead.
I used to cut words out of magazines and create letters, and I'd mail them to Jenny Garth, just telling her how much I liked her.
I love this. I love that.
Not weird, though. Not weird.
Not at all. You
ain't
the only one.
I have something that's maybe a little weirder, maybe not, but it's going to be funny regardless. So I was like 5th grade. I was a fan, and I didn't realize it at the time, but later on, whenever I found this school supply and I looked at it, I was like, what the fuck? Why did I buy this? And I remember my mom looking at me kind of weird when I put it in the cart, but it was a folder, and it was a Beverly Hills 90210 folder, and it was just like the dudes that were on the show, and it said like in 1990 stylization, it said all the hot guys. And it just had them like standing up next to surfboards, and it had like Brandon Priestley and Luke Perry and Ian Ziering, and they're all like just like standing with like surfboards like stuck up in the beach. And I just got it as a naive like 5th grade boy. It was just like, I like this show, and these guys are cool, and I'm gonna get this folder. And I picked it up like 5 years later, cleaning out my room, and I was like, what the fuck? So all that to say, Bryan Danielson's getting kicked Jungle Boy's fucking head.
We took the scenic route to get to that one, but that story, that's some good shit right there, boy. And then what I would consider as the main event is the main event in my eyes. And like I said, if it's truly a lights out match in a cage, it's going to be the main event because obviously it shall close the show. You have Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. Cage match, lights out. Anything goes, no rules, no titles. 2 guys come in, 1 guy has to come out. I will let Bill go first. He has Swerve winning the match, and he says, and this is a direct quote, wish I was on to defend this. Also, I know this is a bad pick. So I'll let 3 Beer go next. Is this a bad pick? Are you picking Swerve?
Hangman hasn't won a single one of these matches. I think he's got this one. There's no title on the line. I think he's got this one. I can see either way. This is not a easy decision, but I think he's got this one.
That was the first words out of my mouth. I'm not sure who wins this. It's clearly the one match that gives me the most pause for cause because both guys feel like they just in kayfabe style. We both guys feel like, you know, they have a right to be mad and how far they've went. Granted, both have gone now officially too goddamn far. So now you like, you know, now what the fuck? But I just don't know who is going to win. I'm just going to say it. I think I'm going to take Hangman. It's not a knock against Swerve. I will be rooting for Swerve. I would be lying if I said otherwise, but Hangman kind of feels like he needs this dub a little more, if that makes sense. It almost felt like when they were announcing both guys on Wednesday night, they announced Swerve as a former AEW champion, and I was kind of waiting for somebody to say the same thing for Adam Page, and then finally Excalibur, you know, threw that in too. So I was like, dang, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But Hangman has done a really good job as a heel. It just feels like this is a good time to have him in the slide against Swerve, where especially if it's going to be a scenario with nobody else helping them, it's going to be one-on-one. Good time to put Hangman over. But I will say this. I would not be surprised to see the Elite get involved in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I mean, it really could go either way. That promo that Hangman did on Wednesday, promo of the year.
Yep.
Like, you know, potential there. I mean, it was uncut. Like, they did the cut. Like, you could tell they did a cut whenever he set the phone down. Like, he set the phone down and then he sat in the chair. They had, like, the controlled fire. I think the fire was right there because it seemed like it was, like, super smoky and stuff. But, like, they definitely cut the camera whenever Hangman set the phone down. But that whole time he was walking through the house, like, his intensity and his believability, because that's what it is at the end of the day, is us suspending our disbelief. I really feel like these guys hate each other, even though, like, they don't. I'm sure they don't. Like, but, like, holy shit, this is one of the best feuds, best storylines. You know, this is like a beefer for best storyline of the year. Which is an all-timer situation for the podcast. Anything that wins a beeper is an all-timer situation. Yeah.
No, it's definitely one that has gotten a lot of traction as time has gone on. I would be lying if I said that I'm very curious to see where this goes, going even past All In. This is not going to be the last time we're seeing either of these guys face off from each other. I just hope it's after this, it's done for a little bit, just so we can let them, you know, kind of get their own different storylines going and then have them meet up down the line. But this is just going to be just a goddamn train wreck of a shit show, and I'm so here for it. Vice, who you got? Who you got in this shit? That's when ready to say, I'm not going to let you get off the hook, motherfucker. Who you got?
Oh, I'm taking Swerve. I think Swerve's going to win this. I'm excited about it. I think this match is going to be fucking fun. But like I said earlier, what are they going to do? It is going to be a fucking bloodbath. It is going to be disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be bad. I mean, like, Swerve, whenever he was kill shot, was, like, known for the deathmatch shit. And these guys are going to go hard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be, there's going to be some situations that are going to be probably difficult to watch, but
yep.
I'm going to watch
I expect to see some stab wound fucking.
Stab wound fucking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really hope you don't get that prediction right.
Lights out.
This is banned from ringside.
Thank you.
You are quite welcome. No birthdays this week. That's the Bill thing. I don't even know where to go for those birthdays. Just a quick thought before I forget. Next week, it is that week. It is Dusk from Dawn week. Go take your ass to online. Go to Pops Rocks online. Buy your tickets. Let's meet there at Pops on September 14th. Tickets are still available, so obviously go get your tickets, bring the fam, meet the BFR boys, the whole 9 yards. We'll talk about that more next week to build into that. Any other odds and ends that I might have forgotten about that I can't think of? I don't think so. No, I'm going with no. Fuck it. Yeah, let's get the fuck up out of here.
Absolute fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
one more 90210 anecdote.
Yeah, please.
There's a storefront in the neighborhood next to mine. Very high real estate, high density neighborhood, and there's a storefront that sells rocks and crystals. And I was like, and it's open like 4 hours a week. And I was like, how does this exist? And they're like, oh, that's Aaron Spelling's kid.
What?
So, like Aaron Spelling, one of Aaron Spelling's kids, not Tori Spelling. Owned the storefront in Portland.
If it's not Tori, that story sucks.
Is that the only kid, or is that the only one you're attracted to that you know of?
Yes and yes.
Unbelievable.
It all seems to be completely made up.
No idea.
It only
The
took
person that told me this has no credibility, but I like to think it's true.
it only took 300 episodes. We finally got 90210 on this motherfucker. This is just great. Bill misses all the good stuff.
Rabbit fever.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to this week's edition of the Band from Ringside. I know there's plenty of podcasts to listen to, so thanks for listening to ours. For Tinder Mahal, for Joey O'Farrell, for Lucha Chris, for Patriot Pat, for Murray the Murray Man Murray, for Brett Jager, for my lovely girlfriend Mary, for all of my 4 cats, for Vice, for Three Beer Zach Pullman, for Mr. PTO this week, Bill Vagey. I am your humble host, JCB, Jason Cornelius Bell. What am I missing? Black Lives Matter. Support your local drug dealers. Support your local weed dealers. Support your local restaurants. Black Lives Matter. What am I missing?
Call your mom and dad.
Call your mom and dad. Thank you very much. Free Palestine. And we're just going to go ahead and just end it right here. Never, ever, ever forget to boo the motherfucking heels. Boo!